Hey guys, welcome back to my clothing part 2 episode. If you haven't already watched the part 1 episode, which is I think labeled or titled clothing size small to 4XL. It's not labeled part 1 because at the time of recording it, I didn't know I'd be making a part 2, but here we are. After I recorded that episode and listened back to it, so much more came to mind. That episode was more so in a positive light, just what I'm looking forward to. This episode, I wanted to talk a little bit more on stuff that I have missed out on or the negatives of being in a larger size and the things that just goes through your mind in general. So, as I've mentioned in that prior video and in other videos, I've talked about how clothes are something that's really important to me. It's like a freedom of expression. It's a way to express yourself, and it's actually something that I've lost over the past couple of years because I haven't really had great clothes that I've been able to find that fit me and that I actually enjoy wearing. And if I did find clothes that fit me, did I actually like them? Did I look good in them? All of that holistic perspective on clothes comes down to whether or not you feel good or confident in your outfits. I was really limited on what I was wearing because now in today's society, extended sizing, plus size clothing, curve, whatever you want to call it, does exist, not to the extent that it should. But my problem was I was not willing to pay a lot of money for these clothes because I never planned on staying at this size. So I was only looking to buy cheap clothes, which obviously in turn are going to be less flattering. I'm sure I could have found a lot of really cute things if I put the money towards it, but I just wasn't willing to do that. So I would just buy a lot of different options in larger sizes at a very, very inexpensive price. And of course, when you're buying at that inexpensive price point, it's usually, like I said, clothes that are not made great. So they are a lot less flattering and they're not going to be as good quality. Because of my lack of options, I would wear the same outfits all the time. It was honestly embarrassing because I just didn't have much to choose from, but I would find an outfit that suited me. Can't say that it like looked good or anything, but it was good enough to be wearing. And that's what I would wear every single day because my options were just so limited. I've just gone through so many ups and downs with clothing. And I think about when I first started on this journey, where I was shopping when I started coming into my plus size self, because the options now definitely did not exist back then. And if they did, they were all just like what I would deem to be old lady clothes, just really, really ugly, which would result in me just buying a lot of oversized t shirts and wearing those to parties in college because I just felt like I didn't have options. When I look back on it, I probably still could have fit into regular size clothing, but I was so self conscious in college, especially as I slowly gained weight, that I needed to wear like the clothes that were as loose as possible. And looking back on it, that made me look larger because I was wearing these like 3XL, 4XL t shirts. But in reality, I probably could have fit in something a little bit tighter. I was just so horrified at how I looked and felt. This past week, I was looking back at a bunch of old photos, just going through for a slideshow I was making on my TV, my screensaver. And I haven't looked at pictures from college in a long time. So it was just bringing back a lot of memories, so many good memories. But when I looked at what I was wearing, I was just like, holy shit, like that does not look good. Like I said, I literally would just buy an oversized t shirt and apply it to any outfit. That's why I loved our theme parties in college. A lot of people hated the theme parties because they couldn't wear what they wanted, whereas I loved it because normal clothes wouldn't fit me right. So if it was like a theme, I could buy an oversized t-shirt and make it to whatever theme it was. So like on St. Patty's Day, I just had to buy like an oversized leprechaun t-shirt and like that was okay to go out in. Or on Halloween, when I dressed up as like a bunny, I just bought like a really, really large white shirt and made it like a dress. Or if it was like a neon themed, I could buy a neon t-shirt and like cut the shoulder off and make it cute. But in reality, like this is that was my solution for my size. There was so much more to this than just the clothes that I would wear out. It was like my everyday outfits. I just felt so uncomfortable living in because I didn't want to spend money again at that time to buy these new clothes. Like I thought I would be able to fit back into my clothes from high school, which seems so crazy, but I was just so limited. So I'm squeezing into these tight clothes or just buying extremely oversized clothes. On top of that, when you're in college, a lot of your life revolves around clothes and activities. And I was in a sorority, so we get a lot of merchandise and we would order clothes. And if I was ordering a size extra large, then that was embarrassing when the people next to me were ordering a size medium. Or if somebody were to like borrow my clothes because they wanted like an oversized sweatshirt, like that's embarrassing. We also used to have all these events for our sorority, for example, what we call pass downs, which is when we would take as seniors all of our clothes and give it to the younger girls, all of our sorority stuff. So when I was a freshman through junior year, I was the one receiving all of these clothes. And I just remember thinking the entire time, what if I'm asked to put something on and it doesn't fit? How embarrassing is that going to be? Or I remember we used to have this party where all the girls in your direct family in your sorority would dress up the senior. And for freshman through junior year, when I was the one dressing up the senior, I was thinking about, oh my God, what's it going to be like when I'm the senior? What if they dress me up in clothes that don't fit? What if they don't know my size? And being so horrified about this, like it consuming me for 4 years, thinking about it ahead of it happening because I was so nervous that things wouldn't fit. Luckily, it ended up being okay. But these are the things that you do think about when you're in college, somebody else is picking out your clothing and you're not the same size as everybody else. I remember in college always seeing these girls doing the walk of shame after a night out and coming home from a guy's apartment or dorm and they're wearing their clothes. I was like, that could never be me. I could never do that. What if I don't fit into the guy's t-shirt? How embarrassing would that be? These are the things that you don't think about. At this point in college, when I'm experiencing all of this, I'm still about 100 to 125 pounds away from where I ended up at my heaviest. So I felt really insecure then. Imagine how I felt even just a year ago. It's a really horrifying experience overall to just be transparent about that feeling. Something else in regards to clothing specifically is the actual physical size of these clothes and how my clothes are physically so much bigger than other people's. I've always been so embarrassed about the actual size of my clothes to the point where I've like cut tags out because I don't want anybody to see what size they are, even though it's like obvious it's bigger. I've cut so many tags out of my clothing. Like I felt sick putting something on and seeing what size it was and like maybe it not fitting anymore. That was just like a horrible feeling that I couldn't get over. It also translates into struggles with packing. My clothes are physically bigger, therefore, I have to pack less than what a regular person would when they are packing a suitcase. I'll never forget, and I know it wasn't intentionally meant to be like mean or rude or targeted at me, but I went on a trip with my friends post college to Europe and I had a massive suitcase. One of my friends had a much smaller suitcase, and her dad, and I joked about it, and her dad's like, well, her clothes are a lot smaller than you. And like, yeah, he's right, and I'm not mad about it, but it's just things that you don't think about, right? Like yeah, her clothes are way smaller. She could pack so many more clothes into a smaller suitcase, whereas mine are physically so much bigger. While on the topic of travel, that's a huge fear that I have. If my suitcase gets lost, I'm screwed. It may be easier for somebody in a smaller body to just walk into any store and find something. It may not necessarily be something they like love, but it'll be something that fits. Whereas somebody like me, it's a lot harder to find clothes that actually fit and that would work for me. So yes, it has always been a huge fear of mine, besides the regular anxiety of losing your luggage. But for somebody like me, like I don't know exactly what I would wear if my suitcase got lost. I can't borrow clothes from anybody else. It's hard for me to just go shopping in a regular store. So that was always a fear of mine anytime I've traveled anywhere. I could actually do an entire episode on travel in general, but I'll save that for a little bit later. Something else in regards to the size of clothes just being embarrassing is anytime I would go home and my mom would do my laundry, and I was just so embarrassed every time she would pull my clothes up and fold it. And I know she doesn't care. She's not judging from that perspective, but obviously it's still embarrassing, especially when your clothes start getting mixed up with your dad's clothes. Like, no offense, dad, but I do not want to be compared to you from a size perspective. So like when you start borrowing your dad's sweatshirt or t-shirt and it actually fits, that's a horrifying feeling. Your dad's clothes are supposed to be big on you. And guys talk so much more openly about their weight. So I just always know what guys weigh. And when you start weighing more than these like big men, it's like, holy cow, how is this even possible? I swear I never fully looked the weight that I was, but I definitely was. So yeah, I'd be embarrassed when my mom would do my laundry and see the physical size of my clothes or the size on the tag. That was another reason I cut them out because I was like, I don't want you to know that I have to wear a 3XL top or whatever it may be. Anyways, I dream of a day where I can just like walk into any store and buy the clothes. A lot of like boutiques don't have plus size clothing, and that's where a lot of cute clothes are, in my opinion. and I haven't been able to shop in person in a very long time. The problem in general that I think everyone experiences, no matter what size you're at, is the inconsistency in sizes. So shopping in person for somebody like me is going to be really hard because there's a world where an XL fits, and then there's a world where a 2XL is much better. And to pull like 20 different sizes and change in a changing room and sweat and feel gross, it's just horrifying. I would rather buy all these clothes online and then return them back through mail. So yeah, I can't wait to just be able to walk into a store again and pick something out and be like, "Oh, this is really cute." Even a couple weeks ago, I was at an event with my friends, and there was a vendor there who sells these clothes, and they were able to just buy things off the rack and try something on really quickly. We were poolside. They were poolside, just throwing on these outfits. I'm like, one day I'll be able to do that very soon. But these are things that you just miss out on, and you kind of have to play it off like it's no big deal. And I didn't really want that outfit anyways. And maybe there's a world where I didn't want those outfits or whatever. But it's the fact that like you have the choice, you have the option. And I didn't even have that choice or option. Something else that's really challenging is not being able to share clothes. I love being able to share clothes. I love people being able to wear what I have and wearing what other people have. You know, I live in Florida. People come to visit me all the time. It would be so much easier for them to just pop in my closet and be like, "Oh, I'm looking for this type of clothing," and they're able to wear it. And when people ask me to borrow something, like my sister needed like a skirt or like a t-shirt for something that we went to, and I gave for them, I'm like, I can give it to you, but it's going to be big. And it's embarrassing. Like, and it just sucks. Like, I want to be able to share with people. I remember in high school, me and my camp friend used to see each other every single weekend, and we would always bring 5 shirts with us, whoever's house we were at, and we would wear those throughout the week at school and then swap back the next weekend. I loved being able to share clothes and having options and just being able to choose what you want to wear. I just am so excited for the day that I'm going to be able to do that again. I'm going to be able to offer up a piece of my clothing because it's genuinely really cute and somebody's excited to wear that. Like that, it's been a long time since that's happened. Something else that's unfortunately given me a lot of stress over the years are any type of like special events that require you to dress up or be fancy. So like thinking about like any wedding that I have gone to and dressing up for the wedding has been so challenging. Just finding the right outfit. Again, not wanting to spend a lot of money on a dress that I will probably never wear again, but also finding something that is flattering and looks good enough and hopefully I want to be in pictures for, which really just typically wasn't the case because I hated how I looked and never wanted to be in any pictures. But dressing up has definitely always been a challenge for me. I know this is also a problem that exists in the world of regular sizing and probably something I'll never get away from. But just as an example, I was a bridesmaid in my friend's wedding and we all had to wear the same material dress. We had different styles, but it was the same color, same material. And this was a dress that was not flattering. Even on those that were stick thin, it was just not a flattering dress on anybody, to be honest. So just imagine my horror. I was mortified when I knew I had to wear this dress and it just did not look very good. You could see every line and crevice and honestly it was so embarrassing. I had to go to this special shop to get this special corset bra, but it was such a horrifying experience because somebody had to like strap me into it. Like I couldn't do that on my own. So the day of the wedding, somebody had to like hook it for me, which means I kind of had to be like naked for them to see. Like that was embarrassing. Then when I put it on, it's not like it covered up my tummy or really did anything for my shape. It wasn't flattering at all and I had to wear this dress and it was truly a horrifying experience. And I kind of just had to take that day and just disassociate. Like, this day is not about me. I can't make a big deal or anything. And I didn't. I really just kept things under wraps. But the entire day, I was just so mortified and horrified. I actually called the bride a couple. This is my like best friend from growing up, so it wasn't a big deal. But I called her a couple weeks in advance, and I asked if she cared if I changed when it came to the actual party. And of course, she had no problem with me doing that. I'm so glad I did because I felt so much more comfortable. But it was one of those things like I couldn't have that dress on my body one more minute than it was supposed to be on my body. It was so uncomfortable. I felt horrible. She was so nice about it. I again was trying not to make it a big deal and tell her exactly how I was feeling, but she kind of knew when she told me like if you don't want to be a bridesmaid or if you want to wear a different dress, I'm totally fine with that. And of course I wasn't going to do it and ruin the aesthetic and the flow, but that being I don't use the word forced, but being forced to wear an outfit that you are so uncomfortable in it when you are so plus size is just really not a good feeling. I was probably hitting peak heaviest at this point. So overall, I was just not feeling my best, and that was just not a good experience for me. Another example actually is another wedding that I was in for my cousin, and she bought everybody pajamas for when we were getting ready. And I asked her in advance, "Are you buying pajamas for people?" And she told me she was, and she told me that she got me like an XL or whatever size she got me. But I was still worried that it wasn't going to fit. So I was like, just send me the link. I'm going to buy my own. And I bought in multiple sizes so that I made sure I had pajamas that looked like everybody else, but that fit me and that I was comfortable in, because that's, again, I don't want somebody buying something else for me. Nobody knows like my body and what it's like and what actually fits. So I wanted to make sure that I was not put in a situation where we get there and we all have to put our pajamas on and mine don't fit. So I bought a bunch in advance to make sure that I had the matching pajamas. Mine were actually still a little bit different than everybody else's, and I was hoping nobody would notice, and I don't even know if they did or didn't. But these are the things, again, like I stand out because I, one, am bigger. Two, now I'm wearing different pajamas that have to fit. Three, these pajamas in general look horrible on me because my legs are out and I don't share my legs. Like, these are things that other people don't think about, and I don't expect them to think about, but you only know when you go through it yourself. I'm sure the more that I think about it, and after I end this episode, I'm going to think of 10 other things that I could add on to this list. So I'll maybe do a clothing part 3, who knows. But this is just to give you a little insight as to things that I've struggled with for a very long time in regards to my size and clothing in general, and something I am so looking forward to. Like, I would say it's like top 2 things about releasing weight is being able to wear clothes that I actually really want to wear and I find cute. And I'm excited to be overwhelmed by the fact that I fit in so many different items. To close it out, I actually just did a shopping haul where I bought a bunch of clothes for my birthday that's coming up. And I had to buy in a bunch of different sizes because I kind of don't know where I sit right now. And I wasn't trying to buy clothes for the long haul just for this weekend. So I'm only wearing clothes that actually fit, not ones that are like a little bit small on me and I could fit into. Like, I'll shop for that later. Right now, I was just supposed to be shopping for this weekend. So again, we're talking cheap clothes from China. I bought everything from 1XL, 2XL, 3XL. The best part about it is all the clothes that were 3XL were actually way too big on me, and I returned all of them. And even the 2XL dresses were pretty big. They fit and they were good enough. And I don't have time to get a 1XL, so I still will be wearing some of the 2X ones. But I was so happy that a lot of the stuff was big on me. What is kind of like a mind fuck is that I kept some like 2 pairs of pants that were both 3XLs. It's, again, like everything is different. Every item of clothing is different, and the way that it sizes on your body and how you wear it and whatnot. Also, my like bottom half is a lot larger because my thighs are really big, my hips are really big. It's just my waist that's a little bit thinner. So, anyways, I still had some 3XL clothing, but like the dresses that I bought, the rompers, the jumpsuits, some other items, they were too big, and therefore they are being returned, along with some of even the other 2XL stuff. I even got a dress that was 1XL that fits. I'm so excited. So a lot of good options coming my way and good changes that are being made. Anyways, thank you for listening. Curious to hear your feedback below if you have anything to say, but I appreciate you. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.